being in right now, despite the fact that I am super tired, that I need to run a healing on myself, that I have to clear energy, that I need to take care of my space and self and all of the things, because it has been so crazy. And let me tell you, am I super thrilled that Mercury in retrograde is completely behind us, because woo, that one was a rough one for me. I don't know if it was a rough one for you. I had two major patterns that showed up and let me know that this is what I need to take care of. One of the things we're going to do is take care of one of those patterns, and not by focusing on the pattern itself, but by focusing on the shift of the pattern. You know, there's this really important saying, a biblical saying, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. How many times in our homes, with our family, in our community, with our friends, are we constantly handing over fishes because we feel like that is the right thing to do? Oh, you're hungry right now? You need a fish? Here you go. I'm going to share this piece of fish. And sometimes, most especially when it comes to empaths, we are handing out our fishes and we even end up going hungry to a certain extent. You know, we're giving away all of our fish and we're not leaving any fish for ourselves. Yet we went out and caught the fish and did all of the hard work to get there. And so what I'm learning is that this is such a disservice. Via this proverb, like, we know that, but also if we tell the man, hey, I'm not going to give you a fish today, but what I am going to do is teach you how to fish. For me personally, I don't know why I feel so guilty saying I'm not just going to make it easy for you and give you the fish to fry so you can have dinner this evening. I feel guilty saying, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to go get that fish. And I think I feel guilty because I'm fully aware that, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to fish, but the chances are that you catch fish tonight for dinner, because I know you're hungry right now, are 0 to none. You might get lucky and you might catch a fish tonight, but the chances are you got to get good at throwing out the fishing rod. You got to get good at knowing what spot. You got to get good at knowing where the current is right. You just got to practice. It's work. It takes effort. And so Mercury in retrograde for me really taught me that it was really time to move into a space where I'm fully teaching how to fish and not just handing fish out. And that's a lot of what, my last episode was on. It's not just about no longer answering DMs, but it goes even further. It's really about everyone that comes in contact with me, making sure that I'm not enabling people to come back to me and ask for fish, but to really empower and stand in my knowledge and stand in who I am that I say I am. Stand from a place where I want to empower people. So if I give out fishes all day, I'm not empowering people. I have to take the responsibility to really step into that power and be like, all right, we're going to learn how to fish today. And so that is what this episode is about. We're going to talk about building community. I think this is such an important topic because overall, I think that part of our drive and our mission includes building community. Whether you want to start a streaming service, just to give you an example, that just came to the top of my head because I'm thinking of like Netflix. If you're Reed Hastings and you want to build a streaming service, what you ultimately want to do is build a community that goes directly to you to watch Netflix. If you want to build a phone, what you want to do is be like Steve Jobs and build a community. All of the visionaries, Disney, everybody that is doing anything, any type of brand out there What they are doing is essentially building communities. Let There Be Luz is founded on a community. So what I'm going to talk about today is how I built my community. And hopefully this will inspire you in your business, in your goals, in whatever your creative aspects are, to implement just 3 really quick, easy takeaways on how you can build an effective community. I do want to let you know that this is totally my perspective. There's 1,000,001 ways to build communities. I'm just going to share with you the way I feel that I have successfully cultivated and tended to my community. For me personally, I don't necessarily look at it like fishing. I think that was just a great proverb. I actually look at it like a huerta. And maybe it's because my grandma has a huerta that's just the way I see it. So a huerta in English is an orchard. It's basically a land that you tend with your crops. For my grandma, it was mangoes and limes and tropical fruits. So I see it as like very labor intensive. You have to constantly turn the land, you have to plant the seeds, you have to care for the trees, pick the fruits, all the things, right? And so to do this, it's really built on your own back. You want to build it on your own back. You don't want to use the backs of other people to build your huerta. Because what happens at that point is that you really don't have a solid foundation. You're building your huerta on a house of cards, per se. Cards that don't even belong to you. It's important to be very clear about what you are trying to achieve and who it is that you are trying to pursue. Who it is that you are trying to attract. So you have to really figure out who your niche audience is. And the more that you drive that down, the better you will be at your messaging, the better you will be at delivering, the clearer you will be at really being able to picture who the woman, man, children, whatever it is that you're trying to serve, who that person is and what they look like. I think what happens a lot of the times is that we mistakenly think that we can serve a really wide market, and we cast this huge wide net into the ocean and we're trying to, really grab at everybody. What happens when you do that is that your messaging starts to get watered down, and then you become really careful about what you say because you know that you've casted this really wide net and you're not targeting a direct market, so you have to give vague messaging. That's gonna fuck you up big time. Because you know what that tells me right away? It tells me that you are much more interested in rapid expansion. And if you are a business, you're more interested in dollars than you are concerned about your market. I understand that when building a business, you're thinking like, but I just want to build a business. I want to bring in income because I need to eat. I completely understand that. But if you first identify your niche and drive it down, when I say drive it down, I mean, I'm just going to give you a quick example, not to say that this is my niche, but it possibly could be. I'm looking for a Latina that is between the ages of 25 to 44. She lives in the United States. She has deep traumas that she's experienced. She's most likely first or second generation. She's street smart. She's also book smart. Like, I could keep driving down who I am trying to serve. And so the more you do that, the better you understand your audience. And usually the way you know your niche is the way you know yourself. If you try to serve someone that looks exactly like you, you will know how to serve that person like nobody's business, because nobody knows you the way you know you. And so what you want to do is fulfill a need that is underserved, right? So what's your need? What are you looking for? And how can you fill that space? For me personally, it was, I'm looking for spiritual guidance from a person of color. Okay, that need is unfulfilled. I cannot find anybody in this sector. I know there's a need for it. Ding, ding, ding. That is identifying a niche market. You become a student. You do have to put work on what it is that you're trying to achieve so that you can better serve other people. So I have 3 takeaways aside from that one I just gave you about identifying your niche. I have 3 takeaways that I want to share with you on how to develop a strong community. The first one is to create authentic content. This is so very important. Again, I just want to reiterate, this is why you don't cast a wide net. This is why you don't try to be everything to everybody, because you water down your messaging. You find that one person, that one being that you want to move, the one being that you want to fulfill a service for, and that is who you speak to. You give authentic content by not being afraid to say what it is you think. That doesn't mean adopting someone else's thoughts, adopting someone else's vibration. It means fully identifying for yourself and not being afraid to give a message or deliver an experience or provide a product that is based on what you think is needed. Because if you develop a product based on someone else's thoughts, someone else's ideas, then what happens is that you are going to fail. Just straight up. People can feel it. People can feel 100% if you are copying someone else. It doesn't feel genuine. And most of the time, if you do attract an audience, then that audience is most likely reflecting the type of energy that you are projecting. And I think it is so easy to adopt someone else's concepts and someone else's ideas because it's scary, right? Who isn't scared to say what they actually think? Because you could be judged, you could be told you're wrong. There's so many things that can happen. And you guys, this is just part of growing. This is part of learning. This is part of living. Really take the time to think and process about what it is that you are trying to create. And if it comes from the heart, if it comes from the soul, there's no way that it could be wrong. Even if someone outside of you says you're wrong or has an opinion, that's none of your business. That is completely their problem, their business. It has nothing to do with you. If you have the yearning from within, it is a concept that your heart and your gut has created, then walk in faith. Have no fear. Number 1, create authentic content. Number 2, be consistent. This is an easy one. We hear it all the time. Be consistent, be consistent. And let me tell you what be consistent means, because I think that people can get mistaken on what exactly being consistent means. Being consistent doesn't necessarily mean producing content or producing product or whatever it is you're trying to build. If you're trying to build a business, visit your business every day and try to develop it. What it means is make a commitment. You owe it to yourself to make a commitment to follow your dreams. Tell yourself, I'm committing to you. This is not me being consistent for anyone outside of me. It's me being consistent for me. Because if you go out every day and tend the earth, water the tree, pick the fruit, whatever it is that needs to take place on that day, your huerta is going to thrive. If you take your hands off the huerta, one day, 2 days, turns into 3, turns into 4, turns into a week, turns into 7, turns into 2, turns into, I don't think I can do this. You're letting go of what it really takes to build community. And you know what? That's not really that bad. What that tells you is that you're not ready. You're not ready to build the community. You're not dedicated. And again, that's okay. Be okay in that space. Accept that. You have to come to a place where you know that tending to your huerta is solely about you. It's not about waiting for someone to come to your land and tell you, you know what? Go ahead, relax, lean back, lay down, sit under the tree, drink a lemonade. Don't worry, I'll water your trees. I'll harvest. It's all good. No, you guys, that's not what it looks like. That person's taking your land, basically. You got to really get in there and work on it day in and day out. Sweat, blood, and tears. Be consistent, meaning commit to yourself. Commit to yourself. Number 3, this is the most important piece of advice that I could ever give you. Always provide value. Always. I cannot say this enough. Don't try to obtain anything from anyone without providing them with value. Don't show up empty-handed. Over-deliver. If you say you're going to do something, that is providing value. You show up and you do it and you add a little extra. There is nothing more important than providing value. You provide value from yourself, not from the backs of anybody else. This is something that comes directly from you. This is where your customer, your community is going to completely trust you. You come in, you deliver, and then you deliver again. This is where that client goes and tells her sister, hey, go listen to this podcast because you know what? You don't even have to pay her anything. You can turn on the podcast and she's going to give you value. I promise you. And then that person goes and tells another, goes and tells another, goes and tells another, because there's value in what I am creating. And then I have a service to offer, whether it's an event or whether it's a healing, and those people will always receive the value of what I'm creating because I am completely dedicated to them above and beyond what their expectations are. And you know what I believe value carries? That it's just not adding crema a los tacos. You know what I'm saying? It's adding heart. It's adding intent. It's really genuinely being concerned about the listener, about the client, about the person that you're serving, and really wanting them to receive the service or receive the product that you believe they deserve, because you're serving yourself. Remember, if you went to number 1 and you're creating authentic content, you're delivering content for someone that's a reflection of you. Therefore, you can come back down to number 3, and it is easy for you to provide value. If you're not able to do number 1, number 2, and number 3, then you're not ready to create a community. And that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I can't tell you how many websites and businesses and all kinds of things I've created in the past, and I wasn't ready. I was not ready to create a community. It wasn't until I was in I don't know how old was I? 37, 36, I don't know, to create this community. I wasn't ready prior to that. That doesn't mean that you're going to be my age to be ready. You can be ready at freaking 15. You can be ready at 10 years old. It has nothing to do with age. I'm just saying that I've created plenty of things and I was not ready. I needed to recognize that. I needed to go back to my land. I needed to figure out, okay, the lime tree thing didn't work. What is it that I'm looking for? It's a journey. It's a process. What am I trying to create? The important part is being honest with yourself. Number 1. Number 2, not looking outside of yourself. So remember, being authentic with your content, meaning not trying to adopt someone else's blueprint and thinking that's going to work for you, because that doesn't work either. It has to come from your heart. It has to come from your gut, because you have something special that you're supposed to deliver to the universe. So if you're too fucking busy trying to deliver someone else's messaging, you're wasting time. You're wasting time when you could really be cultivating your own proper medicine, your own proper huerta that you're supposed to be distributing to the universe. All of us, every single one of us, have important medicine to deliver. I believe that wholeheartedly. We're not going to ascend on our own. We're going to ascend collectively. And this mission is about coming together and each of us dropping, the seed in the bucket. Here's my contribution. Here's how I'm going to teach you how to plant your huerta. Here's my perspective. Here's my take. And that's what it's going to take. That's how we're going to progress. That's how we're going to move forward. So those are my tips. With that being said, I just want to talk about some really great communities. I just recently did a panel with Christina Garcia from She Grows, We Grow. It was such a powerful panel. Thank you so much for opening up this space. We talked about centering women of color, and she brought together community to execute her vision, which I thought was great. She involved me to be a person to speak these topics with her. So again, thank you, Christina. She also brought in Esoteric Esa. She also brought in I Am Yesenia from Somos Padres, Cindy from the Mommy Goddess. She also brought in Lilia from Saludable Latina. It was so great to see everyone that came together that was involved, the vendors. Shout out to everyone that attended. The next community that I want to give a really big shout out to is Latinas Poderosas by Kay Lopez. She started this account, this community in 2017, November of 2017. And can I just say, like, she's already at 24,000 followers. Like, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I really believe it's because she has this really strong, unique voice that all of us are yearning for. She has definitely fulfilled a niche market. Kay has really applied her background into building her community, which I also think is so important. Like, I can't stress how much our work experience, our schooling experience, all of those elements, or even our life experience, of course, really contribute to the brands that we are creating. Kay is a digital strategist, a content creator. She's created content in Texas, New York, and is now working in LA. So she's working with really amazing brands and creating their content. It's so cool for me to see her not chill on those laurels, but to actually say, I'm going to do my own thing while I'm doing all these other things, and build her own community. So I really respect that. Another community that I really respect is Her Own Lane, Nikki Garcia. We've heard from her on Power 106. She's really worked hard becoming social media manager. She's also become Liz Hernandez's on-air filler. I mean, she's done some really incredible things. She's also led Sway's social media marketing team for 5 years. All of this type of work is really cultivating your huerta, you know? Like, even though you planted the limes a few years ago and those didn't work, it doesn't mean that they're not going to serve their purpose and you're not going to be able to utilize that experience for your next project or another part of the huerta. You know what I'm saying? So I really just want to encourage you all to follow these Instagram accounts. I'm mentioning these in specific because I've been collaborating with both of them lately, and specifically in these last 2 weekends. There's so many communities that I love. You all know that. I love also Amigas for My Soul by Roxy. I love We All Grow by Ana Flores. I also just want to take the time to recognize that I could read everyone's resume and it's like, dang, but I'm not that person. I could never achieve that. I couldn't get there. They have a story. They have a story. They worked so hard to get to where they are now, and it wasn't easy. It was cultivating the land, planting the seeds, learning, making mistakes, and doing it all over again. Listen, it wasn't handed over to me. Not living with my parents from the time I was 13, being a teen mom, all the things, all the sad things that have happened have not stopped me from finding my greatest potential. And so it doesn't matter what your story is, what your circumstances are, your freaking huerta can be the biggest, the brightest, the healthiest, the liveliest. It does not matter where you came from or where you start from. This weekend, I am collaborating with Her Own Lane and with Latinas Poderosas, who have both come together to create Her Own Poder. Such an important conversation, just like last week's conversation. This one's going to be a little different. It's on ancestral healing and trauma. There are going to be some amazing ladies with me on the panel. So what this event is going to look like is it's going to be a 2-part event. The first part is going to be a panel where we're we're going to address ancestral healing. I can't express how important these spaces are. I'm so looking forward to take on this topic. And then after that first part, there's going to be a second part where I'm going to be doing a healing workshop. The intention for the workshop is susto. Right away, my intuition was like, you need to do something on susto, and I received the exact download of what I was going to practice during this healing event, and I am so excited. We're going to have a full-on experience. It's going to be a 1-hour exercise on how to remove susto that is really holding us back from our full expansion, what we are working towards becoming. If it's developing a community and we have constant fear, constant self-doubt, which can really paralyze us, it can lead us to create inauthentic content, it can lead us to be inconsistent, and it can lead us to not understand what value is because we don't yet value ourselves. So the last 3 tips that I gave you, if you have susto, if you're carrying susto, you're not going to be able to apply those 3 tips because you're still needing to do some work. And so in this workshop, we're going to do real work. I'm going to give you tips on reprogramming. We're going to do a real live reprogramming exercise that I learned from a shaman that was training me. I'm so excited to put these modalities into action and also share them with my community as real life resources that are completely accessible. You can put them into your pocket and pull them out whenever you need to pull them out. So I highly recommend this experience if you've been looking to attend one of my workshops and you have not yet attended. This is going to be a great one to attend. I want you to know that for the month of May, I am not going to be doing any healings. I'm not going to be taking on any clients. And after this event, I'm not going to do a workshop like this for some time to come. I'm pulling away and I'm going to completely be focusing on Mujer Llena. And so it's part of who I am to create transformative experiences. So I'm really excited that Nikki and Kay have provided me and trusted me with a space to really explore and do what I believe the community is calling for. And so we're going to do this next Saturday. It's going to be a really powerful workshop, the last workshop that I'm going to do in some time. So if this is something that you feel your intuition is calling you towards, head over to the link in my bio and check out Her Own Poder event tickets. Take a look at those. Also head over to my Instagram account where you're going to be able to see the women that are participating and the powerful medicine that they're contributing, as well as checking out Her Own Lane and Latinas Poderosas and the powerful community that they're building. I want to give a really special thank you this weekend to Christina for opening up the She Grows, We Grow space where we talked about centering women of color. And next weekend, I am ready to go full force with dealing with ancestral pain. Let's get rid of some fucking susto. May the light within grow stronger.